absolutely not, Garrett. It's your turn.
No, I think it was my turn last time.
Absolutely not. I did it last week.
Oh, you're right.
Roll the tape.
Because
I always get upset and bounce it to something else because I don't understand what we talk about.
Welcome to Three Wise Radio, the podcast where we talk about media, movies, music, video, TV games, the internet, and pretty much everything else media related. I'm Garrett Welker. I am joined by my co-host, Sam Pixley. That was great.
This is your strength, I think. I think this is your true gift. I have other gifts. One of them is not introducing. But I think we got a good back and forth going on here with these introductions. So I say we keep it up.
All right.
I'm doing well. I don't know if you asked as much as you just say my name, but I just said
I was joined by Sam Pixley.
Joined by Sam Pixley. Sam, I assume he's fine. Moving on. I'm doing well. Fuck it. We've been podcasting for a few years now. Let's get rid of the pleasantries. None of us care how each other are anymore. Spoilers. We actually ask each other before we get in the door. Before we actually set up the equipment, we ask how each other's are.
It's true.
Days are. So I'm doing well. I've had to get up very early for work the last couple days, and I'm off tomorrow, so I'm very excited to not have to do that.
Get to enjoy the day off.
Yes.
Good.
How are you?
I'm doing good. Still finally kind of recovering from jet lag. Like, I didn't quite adjust to Seattle time until my last day there, and then I got back and I was just like,
I've never had a big problem with jet lag. Even when I went to Australia when I was younger, it was always just like kind of, yeah, you want to sleep, but my system regulates pretty quickly, so.
Yeah. But Seattle's great. It's a beautiful town.
I want to go.
You should.
Pacific Northwest.
It's gorgeous.
Lots of big trees and stuff.
Yes.
Wonderful. Shall we do some headlines?
Yeah.
So what we're going to do, Garrett, is I've divided up our headlines into similar topics. And what we're going to do is we're going to read off the headlines, and I want you to know which one you're most excited about.
Okay.
Pretty straightforward. I noticed that all the topics that we had could kind of be grouped up into pairs, so I did this.
All right.
A little insider baseball for you. The theme of these two headlines are adventure movies. Specifically, underground tomb adventure movies.
Ooh.
First off, Tomb Raider trailer came out. Yep. Thoughts?
I mean, I'm not really familiar with the Tomb Raider games. I played none of them, actually.
Perfect.
I watched the movies back with
Angelina
Jolie.
Oh.
But I mean, I felt like it was I almost felt like I was watching more of like an Uncharted trailer or something.
I mean, the new Tomb Raider,
which I think isn't that what they're kind of gearing that towards?
Oh, absolutely. Not the newest Tomb Raider, but the first Tomb Raider that came from the reboot was essentially a complete Uncharted like playoff. Like combat was almost exactly the same, the systems were exactly the same, mechanisms, everything. But I mean, you could also say that Uncharted is just a twist on Indiana Jones, and that the original Tomb Raider was a twist on Indiana Jones. Like we're all raiding tombs here. He just does it as just some dude instead of Nathan Drake instead of Lara Croft. I think that's actually something that this movie has going for it, is that like the fan base of Tomb Raider is not like solemnly sworn to defend.
That's not my Tomb Raider.
To defend, yeah, like that's not a thing. Essentially what we're just looking at is an action movie with a female lead, and I think that'll actually do it really well because people are interested in seeing more females in these kind of roles, and she looks great. Plus, the last big movie that she was, Alicia Vikander.
Mm-hmm.
Well, her last role was what, like Ex Machina or something like that, right? Yep. And she got so much praise.
She did another movie that year, I think. That was pretty good. I don't remember what it was, though.
I do not recall.
But, yes.
But she's a talented actress, and she looks, like, well-built for the role. Like, she went into it. I did see one report where she's like, I've wanted to be Lara Croft in a movie since I was a child. And I was like, fuck no, you didn't. Every actor has wanted to be this role. It's either it's the same thing with like how we were saying a few weeks ago, like every actor is like, oh man, I was down on my luck and just about to quit, but then I became a superstar immediately. Like every single actor has either A, been dying to play this role forever, or B, didn't even know it existed until the movie happened, and then they immediately fell in love with the role, with the character.
I feel like Lara Croft could be one of those roles that like. I mean, that's it'd be like between like Lara Croft and Wonder Woman. Like that's if that's like your action star growing up, like that'd be like a dream, like
Maybe.
to play that.
Maybe. I always just take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
Whenever I hear that. But I mean, I think the movie looks super generic. I mean, but things looked good. I bet there'll be some explosions. She uses a bow. She uses a climbing, whatever those things are.
Spikes.
Climbing spike, which is exactly what she uses in the most recent video game series. So it could be a good time.
Yeah.
Secondly, switching over, as we talked about Uncharted before. So as we know, Sean Levy's Uncharted. We've got Nathan Drake has been cast as Tom Holland.
Yeah.
We know that, which is a very young version of him. And the only time we actually ever see him that young in the game... Have you played the games?
Mm-mm.
The only time we ever see him that young is in a flashback in one of the sequels where you just see like his origins as a little thief and how he meets his best friend or / mentor, father figure, Sully. So he's playing the role. So we're kind of getting a different spin on this. We originally thought it was going to be Mark Wahlberg, and that fell apart. But... currently rumored to be in talks to take on a character in that role, Bryan Cranston.
Yes, I'm okay
as
with
like,
this.
And I guess it doesn't help because you don't know, but Sully is essentially the thief that like takes him under his wing. He's a thief with a heart of gold, but the age doesn't really match up because by the time Sully's an older man, Nathan is just a kind of a
middle-aged guy.
Like early 30s.
Gotcha.
Like he's at full power, if that makes any sense. He's fully capable.
Yeah.
So that doesn't really line up the way that you would necessarily really want it to, but also with the effects of makeup and things like that, you could de-age Cranston a little bit, or just they're already kind of going their own way for this. So who's to say? The odds of them casting Tom Holland as a young Nathan Drake and then casting someone else as an older Nathan Drake and just like getting rid of Holland, who's an up and coming star in this movie, seems very slim. So I think whoever they would pick, they would definitely continue on with.
Yeah.
But most of that is speculation. Holland himself has thrown names around for the characters. Like, I'd love to see Chris Pratt or Jake Gyllenhaal in the roles.
He's been doing that though. He's just like, yeah, I'd love, because remember when we talked about having Jason Momoa as Kraven?
Yeah.
It was Tom Holland that said that in an interview. He's like, yeah, that'd be cool.
That seems to be his thing. Like, he has now started just saying, like, that was his thing for Avengers for a while. It was like, oh, I make mistakes and I keep saying things that I shouldn't say. And now he does it in just about every interview. So I feel like they almost are like there's CEOs in a room that are like, all right, Tom Holland, this is the thing that you're not supposed to say that we're actually allowing you to say. But when you say it, you should say, I shouldn't say this.
Yeah.
Oops, look at how cute I am. So which one of these have you more excited? Tomb Raider or an Uncharted movie?
I'm going to say Tomb Raider because I don't really know anything about Uncharted. So
fair enough. There's also more pieces to the puzzle because I don't believe they've actually started filming Uncharted. So makes sense.
There you go.
Moving on, we're going straight to television. First off, Punisher trailer.
Looks great.
He's shooting so many people.
Yeah. But he's dead.
Who's dead?
Well, that was because like he's claimed dead by the police and everything.
Oh, right, but he's clearly not.
Yeah.
As every cop is like, does this look like a dead guy did this to you?
That's what I was leaning into.
Yes, you're absolutely right. There's always that wise ass cops. Like, I'm really gonna get Detective Cooper today. And
no, it looks good. I'm excited. I want them to give us a release date already for it.
So the speculation now is October, and that it may just be a surprise release.
Gotcha.
Which I think is actually not a bad idea because they actually came out with the numbers, and the Defenders, which was all of them together, was supposed to be the biggest thing, was actually the least watched of all of Marvel's Netflix shows. So I think that might be what needs a little lifeblood.
Was it like a significant gap?
No, it wasn't like alarms, but for your big vehicle, it's something to be kind of cognizant of.
Yeah.
A lot of people are saying that a Friday the 13th in October release date makes sense because spookiness and the Punisher's spooky. But
I thought you were saying like a Friday the 13th movie released in October. I was like, yeah, that makes perfect sense.
No, that also makes perfect sense. But they're saying that they might release this just like randomly, like, oh, happy Friday the 13th. By the way, Punisher's out.
Whoa,
scary. But I mean, I think that is what it needs to kind of rejuvenate this is something that's very, very tonally different.
Yeah. feel like they were just pushing really. It was just pushing too hard to try and get all this stuff out real quick. And I think I feel like if they continue on with all these shows, like once they get into their second season, stop focusing on trying to bring everything together, like hopefully it'll be better.
Sometimes you need to stop crafting a universe and work on compelling stories.
Yeah. So here's hoping for that.
Yeah. The other bit of news we switched to the world of the CW, but not in the way we usually go. Did you ever watch, I know they came out with the second season's coming out soon, I believe, but the Riverdale?
No, I haven't watched
it.
it.
For Archie? I still have wanted to. It's definitely on my list of things to check out, but I am so very lazy. Lazy enough to not watch television, so I don't know what that tells you. But they're looking to start a spinoff. And something I didn't know. Do you know what property that was a popular 90s kids TV show is actually originated from Archie Comics?
No.
What if I said Melissa Joan Hart?
Sabrina?
Yep. Sabrina the Teenage Witch was originally an Archie comic.
Really?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Now, what if I told you, so the series is being eyeballed for 2018-2019 release date, and what we're looking at instead of Sabrina the Teenage Witch, we're going to be renaming it The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. Did you watch Sabrina the Teenage Witch?
Here and there, yeah.
I barely did. I just don't think it was necessarily quite for me. But what if I told you that instead we were looking at a much darker coming-of-age tale that will, instead of doing cutesy stuff, will be blending together various elements of horror, the occult, and witchcraft?
Would you say this is going to be grittier?
I would say this might be edgier or grittier. The thing that really grabbed me was that the darker adventures will be a mass departure and will be tonally closer to Rosemary's Baby and The Exorcist.
Jesus.
As Sabrina battles to control her dual nature as a half-witch, half-mortal, and we'll see her make a stand against evil forces that threaten her family and the world she lives in.
I mean, I'm down. I don't know. I've been finding an interest in like reading and learning about just like the occult and witchcraft and stuff, and just like I don't know. I guess that'd be a cool thing to focus on.
I think this has got to the Riverdale thing and what kind of interested me about it. And again, I think it's almost hypocritical to say I'm interested in it and not watching it. But there's a very I'm totally blanking on his name, but no, I'm not. There's a very H.P. Lovecraftian kind of strange element to all of this, and I like building on that. That stuff's always so interesting to me, and I almost am afraid to start reading Call of Cthulhu or anything like that because the mystery of the mystery is almost the thing that's most enticing to me. And if it looks like it's going to kind of branch into this area and be they're related and they're in the same kind of strange world, but they're not. There's a crossover with Sabrina and Archie and can't wait to see what happens.
Yeah.
That's
I mean, it's
I like
CW.
that.
That's probably
it's inevitable, but shut up. It's fine. It might not happen. So again, not set in stone, but we're looking into it.
Yeah.
What would you say is more interesting, Sabrina or The Punisher?
Ooh. I'd say The Punisher.
That's fair. I'm actually so not into Marvel's Netflix right now that I would actually say Sabrina.
Okay.
Because it seems different.
All right.
Although it's CW, so they'll probably do a really great.
They'll
do a really great job, Garrett. That's all I was going to say.
They'll put all their money in this first season, and then season 2 will.
It's possible.
Suffer.
It's possible. All right, time for X-Men news.
Oh, God.
Everyone loves X-Men news. Who's excited about Phoenix, Dark Phoenix?
No.
You're excited?
No.
What if I told you that instead of one movie, it was going to be 2 movies? Would that make you
Definitely
way
not.
more better, happier?
No,
it wouldn't.
I don't. What's
Interesting. Well, earlier this week, Olivia Munn seemingly confirmed that we were going to get 2 movies in what is now being called the Dark Phoenix saga. According to many sources, one of the movie's extras has revealed that the studio is planning on bringing all of the cast back after the winter has passed of this year to begin shooting a second installment. This is also further back that Fox has released a Marvel movie that's going to be coming out the following year, almost to the exact day after the original Phoenix is meant to come out. Who's excited?
I'm not excited for this. It's just Why does everything have to be 2 parts?
Because money.
No. No.
But yes.
Fine.
I mean, everyone's back, I think. Is that good? That's good, right?
I guess. I don't know. We'll see.
I think the only reason I would like this stuff is if they actually just killed it. Like, this was the donezo. Like, you're like, this is it.
Phoenix just destroys the universe.
Yep, just victory. 0.1 Phoenix. Yeah. Undefeated. And then just kind of wrapped it up, which would make headway for... Remember the movie that I forgot was actually a movie because there's been so much, like, the Gifted TV show is coming out. New Mutants?
Yeah.
Which is essentially supposed to be a thing.
So that one is going to be the movie then.
This one's the movie.
And that's the one with Maisie Williams as Wolfsbane?
Maybe.
And magic and stuff?
Who's to say?
Okay.
Who's to say? But interesting elements have kind of taken apart. Originally, there were lots of talks about this being in the young adult genre. Like, oh, hooray, Twilight and Hunger Games. Yeah. Can't wait for a mutant movie in this universe. Hard pass. Yeah. But recently, so it looks like they're going in a much different direction. Similar to Sabrina the Teenage Witch, we've got reports that we're now going to delve into a lot of horror elements. This is all from 20th Century Fox CEO Stacy Snyder. Was kind of just talking about how the movie is going to go in a much different direction than people considered due to specifically superhero fatigue. And I've got a pretty long quote about it just to basically say what this movie is going to be about. Great effort has been put into making sure that this movie is differentiated from the rest. New Mutants is about these teenagers who are just coming into their powers. It's like watching mutants go through adolescence, and they have no impulse control, so they're dangerous. Pretty par for the course. Yeah. Nothing too fancy there. The only solution is to put them in a Breakfast Club detention / cuckoo's nest institutional setting. It protects people from the outside, but obviously inside things become strange and combustible. Still not that great. The genre is more like a haunted house movie with a bunch of hormonal teenagers. As a horror movie fan, that makes me excited. However, the last bit that I really enjoyed was, we haven't seen a superhero movie in this genre. We're really getting rid of the whole, we're teenagers, let's save the world, and trying to take a look at The Shining.
Okay.
Thoughts?
It just sounds like a really interesting way to premise this.
This for me was the first thing about this movie that made me actually give two farts.
Yeah. Net
worth 2 farts, very small. In today's economy, farts have just, not where they used to be. But I think that's interesting.
Yeah, I'd definitely be a lot more. I'd definitely be a lot more interested to watch this than I would more Phoenix movies.
Fair enough. So New Mutants is peaked for you? I like the idea of, and they always comment on it, and it's been a thing for always the X-Men's, like, the angst of like, oh, it's the same time you hit puberty is when your powers start to develop, but to also analyze like the psychosis of it, I think, which is kind of what they're looking at. Like, if you put all of these people in a room together when they're young, instead of having, Charles Xavier rolling up and being like, Patrick Stewart, it'll all be fine, kids. Don't worry about it.
Here's how your powers work.
You don't have that, like, easy get out of jail free card of like, oh, just come to school. It's like, no, you guys are all locked in here. It's kind of like what Legion did really well. It's like, there's no answers. It's just
figure it out.
Figure it out yourself. Decide the kind of person you want to be. Go.
Yeah.
And to me, that's kind of interesting, and at least it has some kind of different element to where I'm pretty sure I'll watch the trailer for X-Men Phoenix and be completely underwhelmed the entire time. Yeah?
Yeah.
Alrighty. The last category that we have for headlines before we move on to our super dope review of Kingsman 2 Golden Circle. This category is called Things You're Not Excited About, starring almost exclusively James Cameron.
Wonderful.
Our BFF. So I've got 3 stories in this category here. We'll start with the first one. Production on, obviously, the first of the 4 Avatar sequels is now officially underway, and EW has the scoop. We've got our first picture of the new cast members, and guess what? They're all kids. How dope is that?
Why?
Because it's going to be showing the offspring of Jake Sully and Neytiri, played by Zoe Saldana. Forgot that was her name.
Yeah.
God, that movie is just so memorable. As well as other Na'vi clan members called the Metkayani. And all of the kids essentially have a crucial role, saying executive producer John Landau commenting on the kids. We've never had this youthful element before, and that brings a different kind of energy to the film. They represent the future of Pandora and play a significant role, not just in this movie, but throughout all the movies. And all of the kids, except for one, will be playing a youthful Na'vi.
I don't like it.
Is there anything I could have said about Avatar that would have made you say I like it?
No, probably not. You're right.
It's a bit of a lose-lose situation. The idea of now like kid Na'vis running around though kind of just makes me feel gross.
Yeah.
Yep.
Not about it.
Yep.
Not about it at all.
And you know what? That was the point of the category, so I'm quite happy about that.
Okay.
Category number 2. Apparently there's an extremely popular resurgence in comics right now of the Flintstones. Didn't know that.
Didn't either.
However, you know, the last time we had a Flintstones movie, I believe there was a sequel to the 1994 like live action movie.
Yeah.
But did you know that Seth MacFarlane is at work on a new
live action
Flintstones movie? Would it make you feel better if I told you that he's actually been working on this in 2011, since 2011, and that it was supposed?
What's he been doing for this long?
But in that it was set to air in 2013, and that information is just now coming out about the fact that it was supposed to exist. And now that people are asking, he has commented, as of now, the project is pretty much dead. Honestly, I just couldn't figure out a way to differentiate between a modern-day Fred Flintstone and Peter Griffin.
Well, then
to me,
that's bad writing, then.
To me, thank God for that.
Well, yes, thank God, but like,
thank God we're not getting a Seth MacFarlane Flintstones movie.
Yeah, I would not be about that. But I mean, like, it's just shit. If you can't differentiate between two characters like that, then like,
I think that's just a nod to Seth MacFarlane's abilities. I'm so happy.
A very disappointed nod.
I'm so happy that me first discovering about this happening was was finding out that it's certainly not going to happen. I'll just put it there. I'm glad that I don't even have to have that guilt in my life of, oh man, is this happening?
Yeah.
I don't even know why I would feel guilty about it.
We don't have to live the risk of that possibly showing up on the movie train.
Yes, that's fantastic. So I thoroughly enjoy that. So that's another thing that we don't care about.
Our third and final thing we don't care about?
We're back in the world of Terminator. Ooh. You ready for it? We've now figured out how they're going to spin everything together. How they're going to bring all of this wrapped back around. And you know James Cameron.
Yeah.
He's very open to the way that other people interpret things. He's very very accessible when it comes to, okay, this is this person's interpretation. That's great. I'll take that in and I'll add that to the canon and make sure we feel like that's a good way that things are done. That's definitely the way he is and definitely not in any other way. I'm just kidding. His last quote from the Hollywood with a review for interview with a Hollywood Reporter, he's essentially said that this movie, the 6th movie, is going to be a continuation of the story from Terminator 1 and 2. We're pretending the other films were a bad dream.
Jesus. He just needs a win right now at this point, I think.
What a
he's just
douche.
Trying, so he's such...
Or not a bad dream, an alternate timeline, which is permissible in our multiverse. So then he quickly says, this was actually really a Tim Miller idea, the director, than anybody, surprisingly. Because I came in with I wasn't for it. The only thing that I suggested was that we revamp it and reinvent it for the 21st century.
God.
I mean, it's not a bad idea, because you could say all these movies are a dream, but just the egotisticalness of him.
Yeah.
It's like when it's not a cry wolf situation, but it's like when somebody keeps doing the same thing over and over. I guess it is a cry wolf situation. So when you finally get the news that you're actually not a bad idea, whereas if Tim Miller had just come out and saying this, like, this is what I wanted to do, you'd be like, okay, that makes sense, because those movies some of them were okay, some of them were terrible, but it would make sense to kind of say, like, that was one vision, that vision's clearly gone, and dictate that. But for him to say it, you just immediately take everything you think about him and throw it right on there.
Yeah.
Exciting.
Why is he so shitty? I just don't
he's
get it.
So damn talented. They're also currently looking to hand off the baton to a new generation of characters. They've started looking for a new 18-something-year-old woman to essentially be the new centerpiece of the stories. This woman will certainly not be sexy like Gal Gadot in Wonder Woman, as we know. He's not a fan of that. This woman will be tough as nails, but still sexy, but not in a way that's overtly sexy, because James Cameron is the king of knowing Sexy.
Isn't that what they tried doing, though, when they brought Emilia Clarke on?
Sexy.
Also,
But James Cameron wasn't involved in bringing Emilia Clarke on.
True. Wait, but didn't they do a Terminator TV series like after 3?
Yeah. Yes. With what's her name from she's very popular in nerd culture, but I forget her name. She's from the Serenity movie.
Yes.
Summer Glau.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah?
I think so.
Yes. It's a dream.
God damn it, James Cameron.
Just a dream that's like a half hour at a time instead of in a 2.5 hour block. Garrett, what are you more excited about? Terminator 6 and the dream sequence that was the last 10 years of Terminator movies? Avatar having kid annoying people in it? Or the Flintstones not existing? What are you more excited about?
I'm more excited about the Flintstones not existing.
That's what I thought. Jackpot. Those are our headlines. I think we did a really great job.
I hear 1 1 1 1 5 5 5 5 4 4. Can I get a 3 3 3 3 Wise radio to the man in the blue coat? Very good looking.
All right. Long awaited. Even though I forgot that it came out until you told me, I think early last week, he's like, we could just see this movie. It's like, oh yeah, that movie that I've really wanted to see for a long time. Kingsman 2, Golden Circle came out. Large returning cast. A lot larger than I thought would actually be back for it. However brief they may have been. Amazing first movie. Kingsman was, I think, really set the tone for a fantastic kind of universe. Great comic as well, so I give top marks to all of that. Which, again, big shoes to fill. I think we almost have a Casino Royale situation where it's like, can this movie actually be as good as its predecessor? And will we allow it to be? What do you think?
I thought it was good. I enjoyed it. I know we'd kind of talked about, like, after we got out of it was like it didn't quite live up to
And how can
the
it?
first one. Yeah. I feel like this one was kind of almost a little too outlandish sometimes.
This one definitely tried to crank it to 11, a good amount. Again, I love the way that they choreographed. They had another couple scenes that they choreographed similar to the church scene that they did, where they it's almost like I don't know if like kinetic filming is like the right idea, but in their combat they follow along with punches and kicks. So like if a punch is occurring, they'll like track the punch and then almost like slingshot the camera out to another angle. And as the movement's happening, instead of cutting, we'll actually like zoom in to those moves that are happening and then almost cheat that instead of cutting. Yeah. So we'll like move out and then do a quick cut, which will then establish itself in another angle. That bit in the intro where they're fighting in a taxi cab, and they also do it another time when he's fighting a big group of people. I really find that interesting, and I think that if I only see that like once every 3 years, it's not going to be, or every 2 years or so, I don't think it's going to get old for me. Yeah, because I haven't seen a lot of people try and match that or hit on point with that. So that I was very happy with. So at this point in the story, Eggsy is now full-fledged Kingsman, which is kind of, he's doing a 9 to 5 essentially. It seems like, shockingly, still with the princess of wherever it was. Like, I think it was like Sweden or something. Still with the princess. And I thought that aspect, I was not expecting that whatsoever. A lot of this movie was very like predictable, but the idea that he, now at Kingsman, he almost worked a 9 to 5 and is still dating the girl that said that he could just have do bum stuff with at the end of the last movie is almost like an off joke. They took like an off joke at the end of the movie and turned it into like a key factor of this one. I thought it was really smart. Yeah. I liked that a lot. So they're now together, happy as can be. And then very quickly, we're also reintroduced to another character from the first one. That scumbaggy douche. I forgot what his name was.
Michael.
Is it Michael? No, it's not.
I'm pretty sure.
Is it? I should really look these things up, but apparently show prep is not my forte. Let me. Because
he was the one that Arthur, the old Arthur, had like Michael Caine's character had
selected to follow up to lead in his footsteps. Yes. Charlie. Charlie Hesketh is the character. He's still alive. Apparently, when Eggsy electrocuted him in the first one, the nanite, we're just getting right into spoilers. Yeah. Hot diggity. I mean, Yeah, see this movie, see it. It's good. I was right off the bat. See this movie. All right, we're going into it. The electrocution actually let him survive. So instead of his head getting blown up in that very interesting scene from the last movie, he survived.
It just killed his voice box and exploded his arm for some reason.
And blew his arm off. So he has been fitted with a new voice box, which has not affected his voice whatsoever. And
you hear it a little bit.
Do you?
Especially in the early scenes when he first shows up, yeah.
Yeah, maybe you do. And a big robot arm.
Yeah.
Which is super capable. So he looks back like he's back for revenge, but little do we know, he has actually joined the Golden Circle.
What's the Golden Circle, Sam?
The Golden Circle is is without any explanation. Julianne Moore is now completely in control of the entire drug trade on every level and lives in Bolivia in a 50s themed amusement park, essentially.
Yeah.
We don't go into any more detail other than a brief monologue of her saying, "I loved the 50s when I grew up," and then there you go.
Yep.
And then she is in charge of all of that. No rhyme or reason whatsoever. So there's your bad guy. Which to me is like, give me something.
Yeah.
Like, give me some reason why she's just like the spectacle of why she's the bad guy. Like, we got a little more on Samuel L. Jackson from the first one. He's a techie genius that realized that the world needed to be purged because of what we were doing to ourselves, and they gave like bits and pieces of, he graduated from this place or that place and he did all this stuff. I think the only thing we learned about her was that she graduated from Harvard Law and was kicked out for being kooky, and was like kicked out of her first job for being kooky.
And then she wanted to legitimize her like, she's like, I make so much money, but like, she wanted just recognition.
Her drive is that I'm so good at my job. Again, it's like what every millennial in a middle management position says, or at least that's what people say about them, is like, I'm so good at my job and no one recognizes me for it. This upsets me. And that is the punctuation point that like marks her villainous.
Yeah.
In this entire movie is like, okay, so her plan of attack is to essentially, she does a big gamble here.
Yeah.
Poisons all the drugs.
Every drug ever.
Every drug that anybody can take. And if the government does not choose to legalize all drugs and give her immunity and let her just be the drug queen, she will kill all drug users.
Yes.
That's
her plan.
That's the plan.
It's so dumb because, like, what if they don't buy in with you? There goes every single one of your customers.
I get the need to be eccentric because this is Kingsman and you need to be eccentric. But
this movie was nothing if not eccentric.
It's just so like everything had to have like a gimmick or like some kind of haha moment. Or there wasn't a point in time in this movie where I think they were filming something and didn't want to be like goofy.
Yeah. Or
just like on the nose. And it became a little bit much for me at times. But I think it characters and everybody actors did such a great job that it kind of pulled it all together for me. So essentially, and her first plan of attack is to, again, for no reason at all other than Charlie apparently was recruited by her and he said that the Kingsmen exist, was to immediately kill all the Kingsmen.
Yeah. So I mean, a smart move.
I guess it makes sense, but the idea, I guess, is that purely that Charlie guy was like, hey, you should kill all these guys.
Yeah.
So the only people we have left are Eggsy and Merlin.
Yeah.
That's it. And so by some means, they find a way to get to the Statesmen, who are their brothers.
Yes.
And the first person they encounter is, of course, Channing the Talent Tatum, who in the movie a little less than you'd think.
Yeah.
But I think it was appropriate enough that we limited his playing in there. And then we get the kooky hijinks and everything that leads us to our eventual finale, which we won't go into too much, I think. We'll try and hold off on that a little bit. Performances. Squeaky chair.
Yeah, I thought it was really good. It was Mark Strong really pulled through on this one. I loved it.
I mean, he's so good in everything.
The core, like the returning cast of Mark Strong, Taron Egerton, and
Taron Egerton is very talented. I like him a lot, and I'm still surprised that since the first Kingsman, he hasn't been in more stuff.
He was in one movie with Hugh Jackman.
Wolverine?
No, It was
Les Miserables.
no. Taron Egerton played like this skier. It was like some sort of like comedy. I think it was called like Eddie the Eagle or something.
Eddie the Eagle. Yeah.
I've heard that was pretty good though. But no, I want to see him in more stuff.
Yeah, the last thing he was listed in is Eddie the Eagle. He was in Sing, apparently.
Oh.
He was in Legend. So he's been in stuff. He just hasn't been in big stuff.
Okay.
It looks like he's cast in a movie, Robin Hood Origins.
Because we need another Robin Hood movie.
This seems like a mistake.
Yeah.
Don't do this. Yikes.
But no, the core 3 returning cast was great.
Colin Firth is back.
Yeah.
Not dead.
Which, if you haven't watched the trailers, like, sorry, we're not spoiling anything.
Yeah.
This was in a trailer.
Again, and this I think is paramount to what this movie, the issues with this movie. Garrett, go ahead and explain to me how a gunshot wound to the head does not kill somebody.
They have special nanite gel technology where you place this little ice pack looking thing over their face, inject the gel into the ice pack, and it heals them. Which apparently Channing Tatum and Halle Berry showed up like immediately after Samuel L. Jackson shot him in the first movie.
Like as soon as Sam Jackson left the shot, they rode in on a chopper with Ride of the Valkyries, just like blaring in the speakers, just like, we're here, this is it. And yes, they proceed to wrap essentially a bag around their head, stab the bag, and then it mixes.
Seals up.
It's like a Shaquille O'Neal Icy Hot commercial where like these orange and blue gels go together, and at that point, then we can recover you. Only problem, whoops-a-daisy, you get amnesia, which we can bounce back really easily, except for if you're not Colin Firth.
Yeah. That doesn't make sense at all.
Fucking genius. I get the tech and I like the tech of the first one of like, this is a hand grenade. Like this umbrella is a little kooky. Like that, the umbrella was probably the biggest thing. It was like, okay, this seems a little out there. But with this one, they just started getting outlandish.
Yes.
You have a Louis Vuitton case that is also a machine gun, as well as an armored, a full-body armored shield. When you deploy the full-body armor shield, don't worry about how the gun isn't in any of the inner workings of the case. That's fine. Don't worry about it. Like we're starting to get a little reckless here.
Yes, we are.
But yeah, performances were fine. Thoroughly enjoyed that. I think that's the saving grace that these characters are so fascinating.
Halle Berry was great.
Halle Berry was good.
Pedro Pascal was great
as Agent Whiskey. Agent Tequila, which was Channing Tatum. He's a hothead. He's a young guy. He's a young buck rebel, who everybody still loves. Heart of gold, but he's a little rough around the edges, and he pays for it.
Resident bad boy.
Yeah, of course. And yeah, Agent Whiskey, who was an interesting character, such depth. He has some cool fight scenes.
Yeah,
he has a lasso, and they make sure that you know that he likes to use lassos and whips. They really want you to know that he uses lassos and whips.
There was some really cool like fight choreography with the whips and stuff, though.
Yeah,
I enjoyed that.
Yeah, it was interesting. Plays really well to that kind of like kinetic movement that we were talking about earlier. What else? That was one of the loudest. There was a scene in there that was the loudest scene I'd ever heard in a movie theater.
I don't remember which one it was.
It was towards the end, and it like kind of almost blew out the movie theater speakers a little bit with like this high pitched ringing.
Was it the final fight in the cafe?
Maybe. Yeah. I think so. Got brutal. Got pretty brutal.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's essentially Eggsy and Merlin's quest to join the Statesmen and figure out what the hell's going on and save the world from losing all of its drug users. I thought they did an interesting. I liked the take that they did with the president and his cabinet of 2 people, which is the only 2 people that the president decided to talk to during this crisis. Which is, of course, stereotypical military man that's like, yes, sir, Mr. President, let's just nuke everything. Kill all the druggies, it's fine. And then you have Lady on the other side who's like, but the people.
Trying to be reasonable about it.
Yes. Like you couldn't have a more poorly scripted angel and devil on your shoulders situation. And I think they were framed up in every single shot to reflect that.
I mean, it worked.
You know a movie's good when it has so many faults that you're still fine with it.
Yeah. No, I enjoyed this. It was the one thing that really threw me off, but it was early on enough that it was like, okay, that sure, whatever, I'll look past it. Was that Julianne Moore apparently has been the queen of the drug trade, and not to mention robotics, so that she has 2 fully functioning robot dogs named Benny and Jet.
Of course. Oh, we didn't. Yeah,
which I didn't notice that until later on.
Yes, indeed. Continue.
It just like that. It was like, how did she?
Yeah, why are you the best at robots?
Yeah, like didn't make sense at all.
So, somebody really liked Fallout.
Yeah,
that was a part of writing this movie. It was like, what if the 50s thing, but what if there's robots everywhere?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, that's interesting. How do we explain that? The same way we explain everything else. We don't. And it's fine. Was that your comment on just the robots?
Yeah.
My comment was also, she's like queen of the drug trade.
Yeah.
She's in charge of everything. She has 5 guards.
Yeah.
Outside of her military complex. 5 guards and about 15 guards inside the complex.
That work in these stores.
Yes. That's it. That's your empire. Yep. It's like 15 dudes.
I bet they're well paid.
I'm sure they're well paid. They're well paid. She also has landmines, which they make sure to make note of multiple times.
That she can just deactivate on.
Yeah,
like a light switch.
These ancient looking landmines that she can be like, oh, make sure you activate and reactivate the landmines. That as we see later in the movie, there is a landmine scene. Not a high-tech landmine. It just kind of looks like the classic landmine of, oh man, these were put out during the war. Like, which war? The landmine war. Sure. Like, it's fine. Don't worry about it. It's just the old war. But nope, you got to deactivate those mines. What a thing. What a thing.
Yeah.
I mean, see it. I don't want to go into too much more. Thoughts? Any last thoughts?
No. I feel like the statesmen need to have better tracking devices.
Yeah, they're not great at that. Interesting scene. Again, that was another scene that I liked. Like, this movie had 30% interesting new takes on things, or like just kind of like things that I wasn't expecting, and then 70% like this could not be any more scripted than where we're at. But it was, again, enough that the performances, and I love the character of Eggsy, that I was totally able to buy into it. So what would you give this out of how many spirit animals? Out of 5 spirit animals.
I would give this 3.5, 4 spirit animals.
3.5, 4 spirit animals. I would give it, out of 5 spirit animals, I would give it 3.5 spirit animals.
All right.
Would you give it a Jaguars or Crows? I'd give it Jaguars.
I was actually kind of thinking like something not. I was thinking like,
directly pertaining to the movie?
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I was thinking like deer or something.
Oh,
stags.
Perfect. Fair enough.
Get the antlers.
Yes, they do. Thank you, Garrett.
Well, like for points.
Like 3 points. Great. It's delicious. It's too delicious. Get out of here. Piquing your interest. Bam.
It's the end of the show again, so that means it's time again for piquing your interest. I guess we'll start with me because that's how it always goes.
Eat it, Garrett.
What's piquing my interest? I've kind of got like 2 half things. So one thing.
Nice.
But off air, like Sam, you've told me you've been watching Stranger Things.
That's my piquing my interest.
Oh
asshole.
Shit. Well, I will hold off then. What's been piquing my interest? I've been getting into. I took a break a while from reading just because I was getting burnt out on a lot of the series that I was reading, and finally got back into that. And I just like reading. I really do. So
thank you, Lamar Burton.
Well,
but in Garrett form,
Reading Rainbow, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Have you watched any of the new Reading Rainbow, by the way?
Absolutely not.
I think I might give it a shot. See what it's like.
Good for you, man.
But so I was gonna say, like, if any of you listeners have some suggestions, book club suggestions, I guess,
Recommendations.
send them my way. Send them onto the podcast social media stuff, which I will say in 10 minutes.
Perfect.
Probably less.
God, I hope less.
No, I need you to talk about Stranger Things for 10 minutes,
Perfect.
Sam. Go.
Don't spoil it, Garrett.
Well, you already spoiled it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's all that's piquing my interest.
Oh, your other one was that I'm watching Stranger Things? That was your... Piquing my interest is looking around the room to try and find something. Since I guess we're doing PSAs now with reading books, piquing my interest is my bicycle helmet. Reminding all you kids out there to always wear bicycle helmets. Especially when you're riding a bicycle.
Sam, what do you think about Stranger Things?
It's really good. As was expected. As was designed. Yes, I thoroughly enjoy it. Characters are great. Acting's great. It's all great. Only downside of it is that everybody's being real douchey about me telling them that I'm watching Stranger Things. I don't tell many people, but whenever I do, everybody always says, I told you so. Joke's on you. Everybody told me so it's not like you have a unique opinion.
You looking? I feel like you're looking.
I'm looking at you, but I'm looking also at everybody at the same time. So
I was just gonna like curiously ask.
No, it's a really good show. I mean, it's right up my alley, as again many people have told me, and great horror elements. We'll see. I got 2 episodes left, but we'll see how it ends off. And I'm just excited to get done with it in time for the next season to come out in October.
Cool.
So, rock and roll.
Alrighty, well that does it for us today. Guess I gotta do all that social media stuff, right?
Yeah.
You can find us on Facebook at 3 Wise Radio. You can find us, you can find us at on Facebook at 3 Wise Media. You can find us on Instagram or Twitter at 3 Wise Radio. You can email us at 3wiseradio@gmail.com. You can find us on Stitcher, iTunes, any of those podcasting apps. Shout out to all of our friends at Movie Versus, Good Bad or Bad Bad, This Film is Lit, Beyond the Blast Doors. Any other things that I'm forgetting? I think that's about it.
Just remember to wear your helmet.
And read a book.
Wrist guards are for punks.
Deuces.
3 Wise Radio is a production of 3 Wise Media. For more information, check us out on Facebook.